Well, the Game Awards just happened and there was no Nintendo Switch 2. Really don't know why so many people genuinely thought that the Switch 2 was gonna be there, let alone Nintendo. To be completely honest with you, I really didn't think that Nintendo was gonna be here at the Game Awards because it's been very clear that Nintendo likes to do their own thing. The last few years, Nintendo has not really had a presence at the Game Awards. The last thing I remember, I feel like it was the Fire Emblem Three Hopes DLC announcement. I think it was the last time Nintendo announced something there. And it was a commercial, so it was not even a world premiere. And Nintendo was here, but they just had commercials. Nintendo doesn't care about the Game Awards anymore. They like to have their own thing. And I just think it's very funny and interesting that so many people really thought that the Switch 2 reveal had a good chance of happening, because I don't see how y'all thought that. Does not make sense at all. But the Game Awards has ended and there is a lot of reveals that happened this time, and I have a lot I want to say. I really enjoyed this presentation when it came to the Game Awards, which is something I wasn't really sure if I was going to be able to say or not. The Game Awards is something that sometimes it's a really good show, sometimes it's really bad. It's like a coin flip if it's gonna be good or not. And last year was really good and this year was good. I think this is the first time in a while that the Game Awards has had 2 shows in a row be good. Now, if only the Summer Games Fest could follow that pattern, because there's yet to be a good Summer Games Fest presentation. But you know, maybe Jeff Keighley just needs to focus on one show a year rather than doing a summer show. Just focus on the Game Awards. Without further ado, I want to talk about some of the things that was announced here, and then I want to talk about stuff that happened at the very end that I think is a very big positive towards the gaming industry right now. Let's get right into it. Starting off with the pre-show, they announced a brand new Ninja Gaiden game. I believe it's called Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. It is a 2D game, which I think we haven't had one of those games in a long time. I think it's been the Ninja Gaiden ones with the 3D style. I think the last brand new Ninja Gaiden game was one on the Wii U. I know they brought that collection over here on the Switch, but that's not a new game, it's just a collection. So it's pretty cool to see that. It looks like it's gonna be developed by some of the people that did some of the other indie games, so that's pretty cool to see that happen. Overall, looks like a very good game. It is coming to the Switch, and it's coming in the summer. Either way, I think this is gonna be an exciting title. It looks very good. I like the art style, and probably a very unexpected announcement, because I kind of thought that series was done for, considering that the collection was out and they did nothing after the collection. So I haven't played Dave the Diver, but I know that the crowd was going crazy over this, and I'm sure everyone else was, so I figured I should bring this up slightly. This is the Dave the Diver Into the Jungle. I'm assuming it's an expansion pack. They showed a little bit of things, and yeah, I just recently picked up Dave the Diver, so I will be able to play that game eventually, but DLC is what it looks like, so exciting things, I guess. They announced a brand new Pac-Man game, which is very funny because I jokingly said when the Bandai Namco thing got popped up into the trailer, I was like, oh look guys, it's a new Pac-Man game. And it actually ended up being Pac-Man. I forgot what it was called. It was like Shadow something, I don't even remember, but it has Pac-Man in it. Interesting. I don't know what this means for the future of Pac-Man, if they're going to be going a different route with Pac-Man, but very interesting nonetheless. I don't know if this ties into the whole last level, or is it the Lost level? It looked very similar to that Pac-Man episode, so it looks like they're doing something with there. I don't know what this means. Either way, different and cool, I guess. It's coming to the Switch. I believe that said summer 2025 also. Or summer or fall. It's coming out next year. I wanted to briefly talk about this because this is a pretty big deal. So the Best Family Award happened at the Game Awards, and that award has always been known as the Nintendo Award. I think at one point for the Game Awards, everything that was nominated for that was a Nintendo game. And Nintendo, I'm pretty sure, has won every year. They've had like a very long streak. That has been broken tonight as Astro Bot won that. Thought that was very interesting because I thought for sure Mario Party was going to win that award. I also thought it was going to win Best Multiplayer, but Mario Party did not win a single award this year, which I thought was very surprising. But props to the developers of Astro Bot. They seemed very happy about this, and honestly, after that, everything shocked them because I think that was the only award they thought they were going to win that night. Okay, so this next one was one that I think is a big deal, but at the same time, I feel like we knew that this was happening at some point, so it just wasn't It didn't feel like as big of a reveal as it should have been, but The Witcher 4 was shown off, and it was a big 6-minute cinematic trailer. I honestly wish they would have cut that in half or something. I'm not a big fan of cinematic trailers being longer than 3 minutes. I get what they were trying to go with. I believe they were trying to show you some story details, but I've also seen it where these long cinematic trailers that make you think that that's going to be the storyline doesn't actually end up being the story, and that trailer had nothing to do with the actual game. Obviously, CD Projekt Red is a company that you can't really trust right now, so it wouldn't surprise me if what we saw actually has nothing to do with Witcher 4 whenever that comes out. My guess, we're not going to see that game come out until at least 2029, maybe 2030. Elden Ring multiplayer was officially announced. I believe it was Elden Ring Night Reign is what it was called. It is coming out next year. Pretty exciting to see, actually, because I know a lot of people wanted to play Elden Ring with multiplayer, and people modded the game to where you can do it with multiplayer. I remember my editor Coleman and friends with Sly, all of them, they were playing the game, and I think they gave up pretty fast, but it was very interesting to see them do multiplayer, and to have an official multiplayer game out there. I'm sure everyone is going to go crazy. I might even dive into it myself, depending if I have friends to play it, because I think a multiplayer Souls-like sounds like an interesting thing to me. Might be the first time I will say a Souls-like game looks interesting to me, to be completely honest. Outer Worlds 2 was officially shown off. I know that was revealed back in, I want to say 2020 at the Xbox E3 presentation, or is it 2021? It was one of those years. I think it was 2021 now that I'm thinking about it. Either way, I guess it's cool to see gameplay for it. I'm very surprised that got a sequel, to be honest. I think they want that to be a big IP considering the history surrounding its developers. Either way, cool to see, and it's coming out next year. Maybe the Switch 2, I'm just saying. You know, they made Outer Worlds 1 on the Switch. At one point was the worst Switch game of all time. Now it's a good Switch game. Could history repeat itself? Switch 2? I'm just saying, Split Fiction was officially announced here. Now, this is Hazelight's next game. I have played all of their games. I don't know how I feel about this one. Initially, the reveal, I was like, I don't know, but then the further the trailer got through it, I was like, okay, this looks interesting. And I remember feeling the same way about It Takes Two when it was revealed at first. I felt like it was like, then later on, I was like, ooh, this looks like it's gonna be really fun. I think Split Fiction is gonna be very similar. I feel like that's probably gonna be nominated for Game of the Year next year, and I think it's probably going to be a really good game, and I'm very looking forward to playing it. Let's see what happens. Comes out March 6th, and I guarantee you that that's coming to the Switch 2 at some point. Now, this is something that I really like that they addressed, because the last 3 years of the Game Awards, they have not addressed the fact that there has been so many layoffs within the gaming industry. So many companies have had to fire their employees just due to everything that is happening around the world. The Game Awards has never addressed that within the 3 years. But this year, I think, makes up for all of that because they did it in a perfect way. They had this guy come up with a speech talking about it, helping them find jobs, addressing how there was 33,000 people that lost their jobs in the last 3 years within the gaming industry. And it was just so cool to see how they talked about it and really gave it the attention it deserved. I remember when Greg Miller addressed that before back in the day, I wanna say like 2016 of the Game Awards, somewhere around there. And it felt really cool to see something like that happen again here, but it actually be intentional and it getting the attention it deserves. Really like what Jeff Keighley did with that, and I hope it's something that we see going forward. Well, honestly, hopefully we don't see any more people lose their jobs, but as we've seen this week, more people are getting laid off within the gaming industry. They also showed a game called Black Frost. This game looked really cool, really different. It's a post-apocalyptic game. Those are the type of games that I really like, and I hope that's coming to the Switch 2. I feel like we're at a point where we can start speculating if games are coming to the Switch 2, and that seems like the perfect Switch 2 game. I believe they had said that that was coming out next year, but I could be wrong. Either way, I will be looking into that game whenever it comes out. Borderlands 4 was shown off. They did a cinematic trailer for like, I wanna say a minute or two, and then they showed actual gameplay. The weirdest part, I don't understand why you spent so much time on a cinematic trailer, then showed gameplay. I feel like that just, what's the point of the cinematic trailer if you were gonna show gameplay anyways? Very weird to me, but the game looks good. I mean, it looks like Borderlands. I don't really know what people was expecting. It looks like the exact same other Borderlands games. That doesn't make it a bad thing, it's just Borderlands. Nothing different. I feel like I have to bring this up. Although I know editor Coleman is not going to like that I'm talking about this, and there's a strong chance that this is going to get cut from the video, but Tekken 8 was shown off, and the big DLC guest character for the season is Final Fantasy XVI's protagonist. I don't even know the character's name. Coleman's probably happy that I don't know the character's name. I feel like I had to talk about it because I feel like that was one of the bigger announcements. Interesting to see that character be in the game, considering that Tifa, I think, is the most requested character, and they brought a Final Fantasy character in the game that wasn't Tifa. Interesting moves over there. Don't know what's up with that. Either way, that character's in the game now. Maybe the next season you'll get Tifa. The Game Awards did this 3 times, and they did it better this year than they have previous years, but it still annoys me when they do this. They did 4 awards in a row. They had a segment where they're just like, oh, best strategy game, content creator of the year, best RPG, stuff like that, all at once. I'm not a fan of that, man. I feel like that's just, I don't know, make the show longer if you need to, because at the point of the thing is called Game Awards. It's not the game announcements. Granted, I know a lot of people watch that for the announcements, but we should be focusing on the developers, the people that have developed these games. And I feel like they sidelined that a little bit, but they did it better this show than they have previous years. I'll give Jeff Kelly credit for that, but let's stop doing 4 awards at once. My opinion, I know that's gonna be a hot take, but maybe get rid of a few of these announcements. Not every announcement we saw today was great, and I don't think more equals better. I think Jeff Keighley always thinks the more announcements, the better. We don't need all these announcements. I don't know. I always look back at the older Game Awards, and I feel like the flow of the announcements and having the awards, it was just perfect. I feel like if we go back to that, the Game Awards could have a great show every single year. But I was a fan of this format. There's a few issues that I think they need to work on. Overall, they did it better than they have the last few years. Unexpectedly, they have Virtual Fighter being announced. From my understanding, it is the Yakuza developers that are working on this. They also announced another project right after that, Project Century. Project Century looked really fun. That is one that I am definitely going to be picking up. Virtual Fighter, don't really care about. That's not for me. But Project Century, that is one that I am definitely looking forward to playing. So the funny thing about this is a lot of us in the call wasn't 100% sure what was being shown off because we thought it might have been Jurassic Park because they showed off the Universal Studios logo, and then they announced there was another developer that was shown off at the same time, and there was dinosaurs, but then we also saw there was humans and they're like throwing spears and stuff, so that couldn't be Jurassic Park. And come to find out, it was a brand new Tool Rock game. Tool Rock Origins. I believe they said that was coming out next year, or it might not have a release date, but they announced that here. Pretty unexpected to see that. I think it would have been cool if it was a Jurassic Park game, but I do know they're making a Jurassic Park online game at some point, so we'll get that at some point. So Capcom had a big presence here, and they announced a brand new Animusha game. Now, I've not played Animusha before, but I know Coleman was super excited about this, and I think it's going to be great to see this be shown off, and I hope to play the original Animusha after this because the concept of it sounds fun, especially now that I learned that it was not a Souls-like game, because I'm not the biggest fan of Souls-likes. I feel like everything's starting to be a Souls-like game, and the most that I'm going to put into a Souls game is probably a multiplayer game where I can play with friends. Maybe that's my start to the industry of that. Maybe I'll start liking Souls games after that, but it's cool to see this because I know a lot of people was very excited when that got announced. That was one of the bigger announcements here. This next one, I was all over the place with this one because initially I was like, oh no, I don't care about this. And then towards the end of it, I was like, whoa, I love that concept. So they had the Overcooked developers reveal their brand new game, and it is called Stage Fright. It's gonna be developed by 2 different companies. Hello Games is also working on it. I believe those are the No Man's Sky developers. Hopefully I'm correct about that. But it's 2 teams developing in this, and it's going to be, from what it looked like at the end of the trailer, one half is gonna be a different world. It's gonna be 2 different worlds, 2 different gameplays, each side of the screen. I love that concept. I think that sounds really cool. It sounds like it's a co-op adventure, so I don't know if it's gonna be like It Takes Two, where you have to play with a friend always. Either way, I'm definitely interested in giving it a shot. It might not be good, but towards the end of the game, I was like, oh, this is looking interesting. So who knows? We'll see what happens. They announced a Game of Thrones game, which, I mean, it looks good, but I have my doubts. I feel like developer-wise, they didn't get the right developers for this. And it looks like it's going to be an online MMO game from what I saw from the trailer. I feel like a Game of Thrones game to happen needs to be Bethesda that does it. If Bethesda did a Game of Thrones game, oh my gosh. I guess it would have been the fact that they made Elder Scrolls and they just don't want the Elder Scrolls people doing it. I don't know. I think it would be really cool if they did that. Maybe this Game of Thrones game will be cool. It's got Jon Snow and some of the other cast, but I have my doubts. Sonic Racing Crossworlds was announced. They literally only showed 10 seconds. We have no gameplay. It was kind of weird, honestly, but it sounds like from the title and the trailer that they showed, it's gonna be crossing over with other worlds. And I know Sonic, Sega All-Star Racing Transformed, I've obviously done that already. So I'm wondering, what if they go really crazy with this and get some IPs in there that's not even Sega? I don't know. I feel like there is a possibility that we could see that, considering that we're getting another Sonic racing game so soon. Who knows, maybe it's just strictly Sega, but I feel like there's a chance that we're going to see some unexpected crossovers with this game. They made you think that this was going to be the last announcement, and I wouldn't have been mad if this was the last announcement. I just felt like it wouldn't have been one of those announcements that people would be as happy if they didn't know the history surrounding Okami. But they announced the Okami sequel here. Pretty excited to see that. I haven't played Okami yet, but that's actually a game that I planned on playing very soon, and now I have a reason to play it. However, they did say that it's not in development yet. They are starting development on it very soon, and it has the original developers with his own team working on it. So it's really cool to see Capcom allow him back into the company. Very cool. Hopefully he unblocks me on Twitter, because I did kickstart Wonderful 101, and one of the benefits of my Kickstarter thing was that he would unblock me on Twitter. Guess what? I have not been unblocked. Don't know what he's doing. It is what it is, though. But that was not actually the last announcement. But you could see that Jeff Keighley was very emotional when Okami sequel was announced. So, interesting. Very interesting. Very happy to see this, and it's very unexpected. The actual last announcement, Intergalactica, was officially announced here. We have known that Naughty Dog was working on a new IP since 2020, but there has been some concern that it was going to get canceled. Recently, Naughty Dog just canceled the Last of Us 2 multiplayer game that they spent like 3 years on, and we had heard nothing about this new IP, so a lot of people were worried that this is just going to be something else that got canceled. And I was not expecting it to be a Galaxy game, to be completely honest. I didn't know what the next Naughty Dog game was going to be, but this definitely surprised me, and they showed a lot of the actors that are going to be a part of this. We also know that Troy Baker is confirmed to be in this game, so it's super exciting to see that this was officially announced, and I think we could be getting this game pretty soon. It would not surprise me if this comes out within the next year. That was all the big announcements for myself. I'm sure there was other announcements that people cared about, but what I really wanted to focus on is the Game of the Year. Now, there was a lot of concern going into the Game Awards this year, as they had changed their rules about DLC being nominated. And Elden Ring was nominated for Game of the Year this year. It's DLC expansion pack. And everyone was concerned that that was going to end up winning. And if that ended up winning, that would have been very scary for the gaming industry. I am so glad that that did not end up happening tonight, because that winning would have been really bad for the future of gaming. And I'm very serious about that. I think the right thing won tonight. Astrobot. Astrobot is a new IP from PlayStation that focuses on other PlayStation IPs. It highlights them, gives them its recognition, and it's also a throwback to platformers. Platforming is something that really only Nintendo did, the 3D platforming collectathons. Nintendo is the only one that was still doing that. And the fact that that won tonight, I think, is very good. Obviously, Mario Odyssey did not win that when it was nominated. It was Breath of the Wild that won, and I feel like the fact that Astrobot won is very good for the gaming industry and the future of the game. I think PlayStation is gonna look at this and be like, maybe it's time we look at our old IP. Even if PlayStation doesn't look at that, I think other developers are gonna be looking at Astrobot, especially Nintendo. The fact that something like this won, Nintendo is gonna want their next Mario game to really win. The next Mario game, they are going to lock in. If there's another Astrobot game, I think the developers of that are really going to lock in. Overall, I think that this is a big plus that this won tonight, because I was worried about the gaming industry, seeing the stuff that we had saw about the jury and the fact that Elden Ring was a part of this. There was just so many things scary about this year when it came to gaming. And for the first time with the Game Awards, I'm not going to say the first time, because the Game Awards did feel like this for a lot of the times, but in recent years, this felt like a celebration of gaming. I feel like Jeff Keighley and the team did a great job of making this a celebration of gaming, rather than what it's been the last few years, which is just announcements, 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 announcements. Not focusing on awards, not giving games the attention it deserves. I felt like they did such an incredible job this year, and I'm very happy with this show. I think if I was to give it a scale to 1 to 10, I still think they need to not do as many announcements. If I was the head of Game Awards and I was making next year's show, I would do less announcements, more focus on the awards, let those announcements be really big announcements every single time. Maybe make the pre-show, I don't know. There's some things that I think can still be worked on with the Game Awards that can make it a really good show. I think overall, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. I think 8 out of 10 is very fair with all things considering. I would have loved to see something Nintendo here, but I think Nintendo's made it very clear that they only want to do their own thing going forward. They like their Nintendo Directs. I don't think they like announcing other projects at other shows now. Switch 2 was never going to be here. If you all thought that the Switch 2 was going to be here, there is a problem. Nintendo's probably not even going to be at the Game Awards next year, even though that's going to be the year that the Switch 2 will probably be already out. I highly doubt that they'll have any announcements when it comes to games. They're just going to be there for the awards, which Nintendo won absolutely nothing this year, I'm pretty sure. Which is actually surprising. I thought they were going to win something. I was not expecting Astrobot to get Family Game Award. I really didn't think Astrobot was going to win Game of the Year. I had said that I thought for sure Elden Ring was going to get it, because the fact that they changed the rules this year for this, it just seemed very shady, but Astrobot won. I think next year is going to be a great show. I know people were very disappointed about Xbox not having really anything there when it came to the awards. But Indiana Jones, I have a feeling will 100% be there next year. Guys, I want to know what you're thinking about the Game Awards. Were you a fan of this presentation? I thought it was really well. Thought the pacing was great. Obviously still some issues, but I think Jeff Keighley, weirdly enough, is starting to listen. You know, maybe Jeff Keighley watches this channel. You know, maybe Jeff's listening to this video and being like, you know what? I finally made Max happy. He probably doesn't remember who I am, but he does have an image of my name saved onto his phone. He has that tweet. He was ready to tweet at me when Xenoblade 3 ended up getting nominated for the Game Awards. Won't forget that. He probably still has me on his phone. That's my biggest flex. I also ratioed you, Jeff, for a few minutes during the Summer Games Fest this year. Unfortunately, you out-ratioed me at the end of the day, but for 5 minutes, I had more likes than you. I want you to think about that as you go on to the next Game Awards and be like, I'm going to continue to listen to MonadoMax here. I'm just joking. He obviously doesn't watch this channel. Maybe he does. Yo, Jeff Keighley, can I come to the Game Awards next year? Okay, I'm joking. Every joke has some truth to it. I have been talking for way too much. Make sure to backslash that subscribe button, like the video, check out my Twitter, check out the Discord server, check out the Instagram, become a Monado Marine, $5 a month. We have a P.O. box now. Send letters, whatever you want to do. Whatever else is in the description, I don't know. I think I did everything. Guys, I need to get to bed. This is coming out at some point, and then I'm gonna have to wake up early to go to my grandpa's award ceremony. I think he's getting awards. Shout outs to my grandpa, guys, in the comments. I think this video will be coming out as I'm there at the award ceremony, trying not to fall asleep since I have been up all night doing this. I'm only gonna have like 3 hours of sleep going into that. Then I work. Built different. I'm built different. All right, I want to know what you guys think about the Game Awards, though. Y'all have a good night. Wait, why am I saying good night? Y'all are seeing this in the morning. I'm dragging this on too long. I'll see you guys at some point. Bye. Peace.